What's going on, everybody? It's Bear, and welcome back to another album review. Today I'm going to be reviewing the second studio album from Chicago rapper Polo G, entitled The GOAT. The GOAT is the second studio album from Polo G, and I'm actually a really big fan of Polo G. I actually really like his music, and especially after his first album, It Die a Legend, I think he's one of the artists that are really blowing up in the world, and is actually a very deserving artist. And without further ado, let's actually just jump right into it. So we started off this album with Don't Believe the Hype, with Polo G rapping about how his struggles in the past with drugs and violence have shaped him as a person. Polo G says himself that he wrote his song on the same day of one of his good friends passing away, and he had like a different type of emotion in him, and he wanted to vent his frustration even though it was only 5 years ago. And even though it was 5 years ago, he still felt the same pain from the day it happened. The song in itself instrumentally isn't very unique, as it could have just been something off of Die a Legend. I think what sells me the most about this song is probably the lyrics, as Polo G just kind of describes how he feels about his friend's death, and how this was bound to happen to either him or someone else that he knows because of all the dumb shit he and his friends used to do in their youth. And I wouldn't say that this is a bad song on the album, but it's definitely not great. It's passable. Even though I think that Polo G has a great knack for vivid storytelling and explicit storytelling as well, and you'll actually see that a lot on this album. Polo G goes into a lot of detail about his come up and a lot of his experiences that he's had growing up. We then move to Heartless featuring Mustard. This song kind of has the same type of themes as the previous track, but I think that this song actually works a lot better than the previous. And I don't know if that's due to the imagery and descriptive lyrics that Polo G spits, or because the song has already been released as a single and I've heard it several times already. Heartless is basically telling about what all the activities he and his little homies used to do when they were younger. I can really see almost every line in the song being described as an activity that he, or whoever he was associated with, used to do. And I also really fuck with the beat by Mustard. It's very like soothing to the ear, but also still kind of aggressive in a weird way. Like, it doesn't really have to have like distortion or like any kind of aggressive nature. It's just that mixed with Polo G's melody works really well and sounds more natural and vibrant instead of being overabundant on autotune. And the song is super catchy as well. It does follow a pretty basic rhyme scheme, but I think that Polo G singing mixed with the story being told really utilizes everything in a unique way. We then move to the next track, Martin and Gina. This song is about how Polo compares his current relationship to Martin and Gina from the TV sitcom Martin. He uses his references to designer stuff and expensivity to how that has improved his girl's lifestyle, and how just because she's by his side, his life has been made better. The sentiment for this song is there and everything, and he basically expresses his love for her, but I will be honest, I'm not really a fan of this track. Which, I should also bring up, didn't Gina literally sue Martin for sexual harassment? Anyway, the song has a pretty good beat, and honestly it feels like the song isn't finished. Like, the chorus just seems like there should be some, like, echo effect or something, as he literally just repeats the previous line, like he couldn't find something to fit there. I get the point and the good-hearted nature of this track, but I think what ruins it for me is the production and the chorus. Then we move to, one of the least interesting tracks on the album, which is hard to say because of the feature, Flex featuring Juice WRLD. And I mean, it's a brag rap song, and Juice's verse isn't really impressive, so I don't really got a lot to say about it. We then move to my second favorite track on this album, Go Stupid, featuring NLE Choppa, Stunna for Vegas, and Mike Will Made It. This song is just pure 2 minutes and 46 seconds of pure enjoyment. This is basically like a new age gangster rap track. Like, it reminds me a lot of like drill rap, but the lyrics in this song are just really typical gangsta shit, shooting people, robbing people, guns. Like, not all ignorant songs are bad, ladies and gentlemen. The beat is also super fucking hard, and we can thank Mike Will Made It for that. But also, everyone in this song just has so much chemistry to them, and they all just sound really good over this beat. And if I had to choose the best verse on here, probably NLE Choppa's verse I like the most. Which isn't saying that Stunna or Polo's verses were bad by any means. I just like that Choppa's a lot more. The song just has so much energy and so much personality to it that I just can't help but love it. We then move to the first number track of the album, 21. This song is basically Polo G saying that he's going to celebrate turning 21 and talking about his fame, but he also pays homage to Juice WRLD by referencing the last time that he popped a Percocet was with Juice, and after Juice's death he basically quit drugs and never touched them again because Juice was such a close friend to him that he doesn't want to end up like him. He also mentions the act of being humble and staying true to yourself, which is a good message to send, and I think it's also pretty eerie that the song was named 21, and Polo's 21st birthday was not even a month after Juice's death, and he has to think that it could have been him, and, you know, he expresses his dislike for drugs and addiction, and because of it, I think it's very sweet and almost a cautionary tale that Polo expresses, and I can't help but love this song because of it. We then move to the second number track of the album, 33. We then take a little bit more of a somber tone as Polo refers to his gun having 33 rounds, talking about Glock 18, and referring to Scottie Pippen. I think he actually refers to a basketball player in all of the songs on this album somehow. He also refers to the facts that you don't really know the lifestyle of how your kids live outside the house by saying the line, "Shit be devastating, you find out your homie checked out, parents lose control, don't know her daughter having sex now, dudes hating them getting paper, that's what they press about, went down the wrong path, switched up and chose the best route." He then also refers to the death of his friend Gucci, who was sadly shot and killed by a rival gang, and how he wishes he can get revenge by killing Gucci's killer and avenging his friend. This song really pulls into that like East Coast hip-hop trope of the piano, and I think Polo is just really venting all of his problems that he had in his youth. Not necessarily saying he wants to solve them, but this is just what he had to deal with growing up. And after listening to the song again and again, I can just really just have this thought in my head that he's basically describing a bunch of youth who live such a avid lifestyle, and they live such a lifestyle that their parents can compare to, but they don't want to be ending up like their parents, so they don't want to like express it, but they're still doing these, you know, things that kids do growing up. Then we move to a very real track in I Know. This song is just honest, man. As Polo throughout this album refers to living in Chicago and all of the torment he had, and this is possibly one of the most honest tracks, as this song kind of talks about several different people he used to hang around, at minimum 2, at most 4, as it is kind of ambiguous in the lyrics. You can't really tell who he's talking to or who he's talking about, as the chorus talks about missing his homie and wanting to roll up to his house and see him, but he isn't there anymore. So he's in his head and he's scared because he can't see his homie that he used to do all the time. And then the first verse also talks a lot about anxiety and mental issues, and it really digs into the psyche of Polo, saying that he may not know who he is as a person. And then verse 2, where it gets rather dark. Trigger warning about abuse before I say these lines. Living on his own and he running out of options now, cause he felt like he couldn't be himself at his mama house. Hitting licks, missing school junior year, he thought about dropping out. Him against the world, 40 on him when he popping out. On his dark road, he just trying to find a proper route. Hate the criticism, he uses music to block it out. By his auntie, he was molested as a baby boy. Messed up his head, it even changed the way he played with toys. Up late night rapping, they told him to quit making noise. By that last line, it leads me to believe that this may have happened to Polo, and I don't want to seem insensitive by elaborating further, but this song is just so honest, and you can really tell that Polo G is being genuine, and this is just from his mind. This is what he really thinks and what really happened to him. It's honestly just mind-blowing. We then move to a more love-struck track in the form of Beautiful Pain, parentheses, Losing My Mind. Basically, the song is saying how he feels empty without his girl by his side, and she's the only thing that really makes him feel alive. And on the surface, it could seem like a stereotypical love song. It's actually a lot more than that if you really look into it. As the lines, we went on dates, we took some pictures, everything was moving quickly, manipulated, I didn't think a new relationship would fit me, but I told you we can try it even though I know it's risky. It's really Polo stating that that past trauma of being around dysfunction and manipulation and toxicity really inflicts trust issues for him, and it's not really their fault, but he's more scared than anything about being in a relationship. And then a future line, trying to escape this commitment made our problems bigger. It's hard to love with dysfunction, which my scars were thinner. The trauma really makes it hard to open up a relationship and hide your insecurities, and how it really takes a lot to manage those things before you lock yourself into a relationship with somebody. I don't know what it is, but Polo really has a way with words that can really invoke emotions out of you, and really deliver some deep thoughts that can seem at surface level, but truly feeling those emotions is really when you understand what he means. The next song, No Matter What, continues the themes of street struggle, as he talks about gang violence once again, but also referring to his death of his friend Tim, who was only 16 when he died in 2014. And long story short, he expresses the reality of living in the street and poverty. Apparently this was Polo's favorite song on the album, but I don't really share the same opinion, as I do enjoy this song, but compared to the other tracks that I've heard before this one is a little bit weaker than the others. This next song is basically another come-up track in the form of Be Something featuring Lil Baby, but Polo expresses his former drug addiction to pills, and I say pills because there is a multitude of them and I don't want to mention them, and he used to cope with those feelings of taking drugs to feel alive, which is a feeling a lot of people who suffer from addiction suffer from. He also mentions how he feels like he can't really have good relationships with anybody because of his background that he has, being associated with toxicity from his former household. The song has a lot of thought behind it and a lot of build up to it, and then there's Lil Baby. Now, I've never been a fan of Lil Baby, but after the bigger picture, I thought maybe he would mature as an artist and almost provide some background about his past on this song, but nope, just the same stereotypical Lil Baby lines. This song was ruined by Lil Baby in my opinion. By the way, shout out to the guy on Genius who annotated Lil Baby's line, "Keep it glizzy, it's going in with me, I can't let him get me," by saying you gotta keep the hot dogs on him. Then we move to the next track, Relentless. This is Polo talking about his experience as African American, talking about Section 8, drugs, and racism against him. The first verse, in my opinion, is possibly one of the most loaded verses I've heard in a while, as he mentions how white people used to look at him and make him feel bad just because he was black, and how they would see him as a dangerous and poor person, but in all reality, he's a great person and he's definitely got money. And then the lines, "I'm getting money but I'm still hurting, that's why I'm bipolar, I never gave up on my team, I put them on my shoulders, got PTSD from that battlefield, I'm a soldier," where I felt the most, because he really stresses that money can't really buy you happiness. And in his own words, that's really about how money can lift some financial stress off you, but it really can't change your mindset. If you were a depressed person before you got money, you're still going to be a depressed person with money. It's just up to you to be able to fight that battle or get a better understanding of yourself. And I couldn't have said that better myself. This album is just full of so many issues that people suffer from, and it really makes so many people relate to it as well. And I can't help but praise Polo for it. The next track, D&D, honestly, I think that this song is really good. Kind of discussing how he wants to say to himself and make sure he's okay. But Genius pretty much covered all the lines for this song, so if you want to see an analysis of it, I'll leave the interview in the description. Next song, Chinatown, same subject as the whole album has been discussing. I think that this is probably the weakest song on the album, despite a good line in the song stating, "The streets don't love you back, but that's some shit they never told us." I can't really say anything about this track was so memorable. Then we move to a pretty literal track, Trials and Tribulations. This song is basically what the title is, Polo rapping about his trials and tribulations, and the best part about this song is the second verse, as Polo then expresses some lines like, "You know they come up was real when your mans hate, I just want a bag, put in that work and grow my fan base, I just spilled my life up on the beat and switch my landscape." I apologize if it seems like I'm glazing over the last few tracks, it just seems like the album just started to have less and less material as it continued. Then we close out the album with possibly one of my favorite songs of the year, Wishing for a Hero featuring BJ the Chicago Kid. I don't think I've heard someone channel Tupac so great other than this song. This song is basically almost a remix of Tupac's Changes, which had the same sample of The Way It Is by Bruce Hornsby in The Range. I love Tupac's song Changes so much, and Polo G basically talks about the same issues as Tupac did on Changes, discussing African American lifestyles, and this song is just so inspirational, and it just almost radiates the same energy as Tupac. Like, I can really see him saying Polo's lines, which you could say he did, as it is the same song. But the fact is, Changes was released in 1998. Wishing for a Hero was released in 2020. Tupac was hoping to get rid of some of the race issues and oppression of African Americans back then, and Polo is trying to encapsulate these same issues and bring them to light. And the fact that supposedly this song is almost freestyled is even more impressive. And also, you know you killed it on the song when Bruce Hornsby himself said, "I think Polo G's update of Tupac's Changes is very special, very soulful and moving. Thanks, Polo G." And then we close out the album with Polo G's little sister saying that he's made it to GOAT status, and what a phenomenal way to close this album. Okay, my final thoughts on this album. Thought that the premise of the album and all the issues he brought up were touched on very well, provided a lot of insights into issues in the world today, and was still able to throw some bangers into the mix like Go Stupid. Some songs were kind of unnecessary and didn't add much to the table, but they still had a great amount of material to them. Wishing for a Hero might be a Song of the Year candidate. Polo G really knows how to touch on social issues and provide input into some really heavy subjects, and this is possibly Polo G's best project yet. I'm actually going to be giving this a solid 8 out of 10. I hope you guys enjoyed this album review. And if you guys know, I finally have a podcast up. If you want to see my new podcast episode with Greg Combs' Celebrity Sex Scandal, that will be in the description. And also, I have a Spotify playlist where you can check all the albums I plan to review or will review in the future. And I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will talk to you all later.